going.
That's going, is it?
Yeah.
So, how about you tell us your full name you were born with? Start with.
Agnes Mary Mercer. Agnes Mary Fowler.
Agnes Mary Fowler. Born on which day?
13th of July 1922.
1922. Amazing. Whereabouts?
Southend-on-Sea.
Southend-on-Sea. Amazing. And where did you spend the early years of your life?
In Bromley, Kent. And I went to Bromley High School, Girls Public Day School Trust, which is a group of schools.
Just girls there?
Oh yes. No mixed schools in those days.
And what are your presiding memories of those times?
Oh good. I enjoyed school. And I had a happy home.
What were your favourite subjects?
My father ran it was a sort of religious shop on Brompton Road. Then he opened a cafe on the Brompton Road. And then he moved, after the beginning of the war, he opened another cafe in the city. And that was the end of my father. He had gastric ulcer, burst out gastric ulcer, and he died when he was 56.
And how old were you at that stage?
17.
17. Okay.
He died in the February, and war broke out in the September. That's when I left school and went into nursing.
Okay. And what memories do you have, particularly of your father, of who he was, and his personality?
As far as I know, he was easy to get on with. He didn't. No, he was just a loving father, really. That's all I can remember.
What was his name?
William Henry.
William Henry Fowler.
Yes, and he was brought up in Ledbury. He was one of, I think, 6 boys and 1 girl.
And did you have any grandparents when you were growing up?
Not that I knew, no.
Not that you knew?
No. Step-grandfather I had. But that's all.
Cousins?
Step-cousins. I suppose I had a lot, but my father had nothing to do with his own family.
So that was the best friend of your mother?
He married. My father married, yes.
The best friend of your mother?
Yes, that's right.
And so her children were your cousins?
My father's siblings, they would be cousins. But my stepmother had no children.
Ah. Oh, they'd be your step-siblings, wouldn't they?
They would, yes, but there weren't any.
And how about your brother and sister?
Oh, they are my true brother and sister.
And you're the youngest?
Yeah, by 9 years.
Oh, by 9 years?
No, I'm the only one left.
And how well did you get on with them?
I didn't get on very terribly well with my sister, but my brother, of course, went into the Navy at the beginning of the war, and I never knew him, really. And I was just the kid sister that got in the way.
So when war broke out, so your brother went away when he was 16, presumably, was he?
No, he would be 26.
Of course.
I was 17.
When war broke out.
When war broke out, yes.
He went into the Navy. So he was away all the time. I went into nursing, and Joan looked after our stepmother.
And what stories do you remember Dick saying, or memories did he come back from war with?
Well, not a lot, because I very seldom saw him. Because he was married before the war, so he obviously went back to his wife. when he was on leave.
Mm.
So I was on my own, really.
And so, at what age did you? Just tell us a bit about school and how you passed through school. What was your favourite subject?
I started doing domestic science, but I left halfway through the term, you see, at the beginning of the war. My favourite subject, I don't think I had one. Geography, perhaps.
Do
It's the only O-level I had.
Do you have a particular memory of a teacher that inspired you, or?
Oh yes, the geography teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you like the teacher, you like the subject,
It's
really.
true. The teacher does help.
Yes, she was young, and she was very nice.
And so you went straight from school into nursing.
Into nursing. And in Purford, Surrey, I think it's Surrey, yes. It was an orthopaedic hospital, part of Thomas's. And they had a lot of chaps. There was a top hat and a bottom hat, and there's a sort of middle. And the middle was people from Dunkirk, and the top and bottom were the orthopaedics, TBs. But we were all over, you know, it didn't matter where we were, which ward we were on.
Where did you do your training? In London?
Yes, I was in Purford for about 18 months, and then I went to London, University College Hospital. And we started off in Watford, Watford Hydro for the preliminary training school, and then for 6 weeks, and then we went to London. And every time we came up to an exam when we should have been evacuated, we stayed in London, so we never went back to Ashridge, where they went. And the orthopaedic hospital in Bushy.
Do you remember those times fondly?
Oh yes. We went to Bushy after PTS, that's right. We went to Bushy and we stayed with Sir Lady and somebody Fitzgerald in Warren House.
Mm-hmm.
And the custard was to be believed. I think she made it with cream. We all sat round. There were only about, I don't know, 18 of us. And we all sat round this gorgeous table with Sir at one end and Lady the other end. Oh, it was gracious living, it was then.
Who is the Sir and the Lady?
Fitzgerald.
Okay, Sir and Lady Fitzgerald.
Who are they?
Well, they owned Warren House.
Oh. And they just housed...
And they did their wallpaper
training
by
nurses.
having the nurses
Oh.
living there, you see. So we always had dinner there. I suppose we had breakfast there as well. But after that, we went up to London and stayed there.
So there's lots of you girls all together.
Who's your great friend from that time?
Mimi.
Mimi.
Mm. Yes, she was in my set.
And there's lots of you girls all together.
There were about 12 of us.
You've left home, you're away from home.
Oh yeah.
What would you say you did for fun, or how would you say, what did you do for your kind of wild times, laying your hair down times, that kind of thing?
Oh, we were invited to Bentley Priory to the dances where all the army were, you see.
So how old were you when you did your training? 20?
Well, 18.
Oh, 18. Still quite young.
When I started. Couldn't start before 18. And then in my second year, I suppose, I got rheumatic fever. So I was off for 6 months, so it put me back a whole year to my set before I took finals.
So then you weren't with Mimi anymore?
Oh, Mimi had married and left. You weren't allowed to stay on if you married. Not in those days.
So then where did she move to?
Where did Mimi go? Well, her husband was in the Navy, And she lived down in Farnham with friends.
Tell me more about these dances. How would they work? Would there be a live band? What kind of music was it?
Can't remember that.
What did you wear?
I think we went in uniform.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
I think so, yeah. Which was not really, when facing it now, it was not the thing to do to go out in public in uniform, pick up all the bugs from everywhere else.
True. Were they quite formal affairs, would you say? Were they quite, was it really a chance to sort of let loose a little bit?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, I can't remember. It all seemed quite friendly and
Dancing?
dancing, yes.
Drinking?
No, not no, I don't think so.
No.
Men might have done, I don't know.
Was there not much of a cult between you 12 girls? Was there not much a culture of drinking?
No.
No.
Well, I was the youngest, and the eldest was about 35, I think. They all joined up because of the war, you see.
What happened next?
What happened next?
So you've done your training.
I got my finals, and then I went on holiday up to Blakeney, and I met Headley.
Aged?
20, 18, about 24, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
25.
And where are we in relation to the war here?
Oh, the war had finished.
Oh, the war finished, okay.
Mm.
Okay, let's backtrack a little bit then.
Yes. And then I married Headley in 47.
Mm.
I had a year in British European Airways after I finished training.
Amazing.
As a nurse? As a nurse?
Yes. Wasn't a very enlightening job, but it was a job. It was a bit glamorous then.
What, for people that fell sick on airways?
Staff of British European Airways.
But where would you be? Would you be on the flights, or you?
No. I was based in Bourne School, in a school.
Ah.
So you just sat and twiddled your thumbs, really. You had to be there. So it wasn't. And from there, I had the week's holiday, and I went up to Blakeney. That's right. And met Headley, and I married Headley a year later.
Where did you get married?
St Jude's Church in London.
So then when did you move to Cheshire?
After I married, because Headley was already living there.
Oh, he was already there.
Yes. Having been born in Japan, his mother had 3 boys, Headley, Peter and Ian. And when her husband died, she came back to England and settled in Alderley Edge.
And how old was he at this stage?
Headley was 2, something like that.
How
No,
old?
it must be more than that. He was 9 years older than me.
And how old was he when he came back to the UK from Japan?
7, I think.
Okay. Could he speak Japanese?
No, I think his mother took a bit. The odd word, but...
Where was he born? In Japan?
Yokohama.
Sorry?
Yokohama,
Oh.
in Japan. All 3 were.
Did he talk of it fondly?
Never talked about it. Probably didn't remember very much. From 7.
I moved from 62.
Mm.
We moved from 62 when I was 6. And yeah, I've got some memories of it. So backtrack a little bit. I want to hear a little bit about the war and your experiences of the war.
Mm.
How old were you when the war broke out?
17.
And so your training was in the context of
All during the war.
all during the war, yeah.
Mm.
And what was the feeling? Can you remember anything of the feeling around normal people, kind of in the lead up to the war?
I wasn't terribly interested, I suppose. girl of 17 isn't. You're just living your life, really.
Mm. You weren't worried about it at all?
No, we were on the Isle of Wight when war broke out. I can remember my mother helping to evacuate all the children. It was absolute pandemonium. All the children from the Isle of Wight, all with their little boxes. It was quite exciting, really. But
Your stepmother?
My stepmother, yes.
What was her name?
Charlotte Maud.
Wow.
That was the generation. Charlotte's come back, hasn't
Charlotte's come back. Maud hasn't come back yet.
No. It's not a very attractive name, is it, Maud?
No, it's quite
Maud.
witchy.
Mm.
By association, maybe.
Yeah.
So the war goes on. Are you kind of more fearful of the war as it goes on, or are you increasingly aware of what it's all about? And
You just got on with it. We all had to sleep down in the dining room. In the basement was, all the theatres were in the basements. The mother and babies, I remember, were in the basements. So yes, you just got on with life.
did that feel like an adventure, or did that feel like you were starting to be fearful for your safety?
I don't think you thought about that. You had your job and you just got on with it. You were working in the basement, so you were working in the basement. But I do remember that one of the doctors went up Casualty Slope because they heard the doodlebug coming over, and I have never seen anyone look so frightened when she came back. It dropped from UCH to St Pancras, which was a quarter of a mile.
It's not far.
Not far, no. And she saw it come. She obviously must have seen it coming over and go down like that. I've never seen anyone look so frightened.
Wow.
But that's really the only scare I remember about the war.
How about the parties when the war ended?
When Churchill came out on the Foreign Office balcony, I think in Whitehall, I went with a medical student down there. That was pretty exciting at the end of the war. The crowds, yes, you were absolutely jam-packed.
Oh, wow.
Sort of cheering Churchill, yes.
Mm.
Yeah, that was exciting.
And how about England, Britain, post-war? Was it a time of is it sort of exciting regeneration? Was it a kind of time of hope, or was it kind of quite bleak?
I don't think I took any notice, really. I just got on with life. I wasn't interested in politics. I know I sound very dreary, don't I? But
No.
I don't. I just got on with life. I married, went up to Winslow, had Jen, got on with life. Then I had Andrew. Got on life, with the mother looking after her children, really.
Mm. So you didn't continue in nursing after you moved?
Not until the children went away to school, so that home would be where home was. Not, we weren't moving as the children went to boarding school, because that would be wrong.
So home was like a solid. So that was nice. So you made a sort of conscious decision to.
So we moved to Dosmarsh, and about a year before Andrew went to Terranova.
Terranova was boarding as well, was it?
It was all boarding then. Prep school.
And let's have a little word on young Jennifer Bell and Andrew Bell. How were they as children? how would you describe their characters?
I've got to be careful here, haven't I? They were quite easy. I think Jen was a bit jealous of Andrew.
In what sense?
Well, she picked up the iron thing that riddled the fire and bashed him on the head. Because I don't know why, but she just felt like that, I suppose. But on the whole, they got on.
Because he was a spoiled younger brother.
She was, yes, about 2.5 years between them.
And how did you find motherhood?
I loved it. Yes, I enjoyed my children. I enjoyed them when they went to school. I went to all the school events. Yes, I enjoyed it a lot. And when they left home, it was, yes, life got a bit empty. But then, you know, you all move on, don't you?
Hmm. And Dad fell out of the window?
Yes, he did. 3 weeks into his first term, yes.
Oh, really?
Didn't know that.
Mm.
And did you go down to...
They rang up, Columby rang up about 7:30 in the morning, Saturday morning, and said that Andrew was in hospital having fallen out of the window and broken his femur. By which time he was all operated on and strung up, and there he was.
What was your reaction?
Shock, of course.
Had you
I went over on a doctor friend of mine, who I was supposed to be helping with an event on the Saturday night. She said, well, hang on, I'll come with you on Sunday. So she came with me on Sunday. So she was, being a doctor, saw the doctor, what had happened. But Andrew didn't know why he did it.
Had he sleepwalked before? Did you know him growing up?
No, don't know. Don't think so. No, he hadn't.
Silly boy.
Mm. But he was off for 6 months. And when we took him back...
You mean, he was back at home for 6 months?
Oh, yes. It was lovely. I had him at home for 6 months.
Oh, my God.
And the decorator, he was a good friend, really. He came and got the bed downstairs into the dining room. So he was downstairs all the time. So he was sort of living with us, but in bed. What do I want to say on that one?
He came home for 6 months.
Oh yes, when we took him back for the summer term, we had tea in the Feathers in Hope. And he said, I know what I was doing. James had thrown his cushion out of the window, and he was into the housemaster's garden, and Andrew was going out to get it.
In his dream?
Yes, and that's why he fell out of the window, going to get the cushion.
That was
But it took him all that time for it to come back, why he did it, why he was climbing out of the window. And as luck had it, Columby, the housemaster, who you know, I think.
No, it's not.
No, it's not Columby. That's the housemaster.
Dick.
No,
Copaz.
Copaz.
Yeah.
Copaz. He had been out for the evening and had gone in through the front door and heard Andrew moaning, because Andrew climbed back through the window, downstairs window, into his study, and was moaning. And Copaz heard this and said, you know, what the hell are you doing down here? And organised it, got the ambulance, and he was all operated by the time we knew.
Oh.
So probably Andrew doesn't really remember all that.
I didn't realise he had climbed back into the window.
Mm.
Was he a bit of a local celebrity?
Oh, yes. The Bishop of Norwich went to see him, and he was being 13, you see. He was neither child nor adult, but he was in the adult men's ward. And there was a very nice chappie in the bed next to him who sort of looked after him.
Oh.
So I went over, well, I went straight over, of course, and then I went over sort of once a fortnight.
What, you drove all the way?
Oh, yes.
What car did you have?
No, it wouldn't be in Austin. My first car, Morris Minor? Can't remember now.
It must have taken ages to drive over to Blakely.
Oh, about 5 hours.
Oh, is that all? Okay, not so bad. Did he settle into school well after that? Because it's quite a shock to the system, missing most of your first year.
Oh, yes, he went back, and of course he wasn't allowed to play cricket or do any sport. But I think he did on the quiet. He was caught several times bowling for cricket.
Getting caught bowling.
Well, you're running if you're on a broken bone. If it hasn't completely healed, it's not a good thing to do. The school were responsible for him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether he has any trouble now. Does he with arthritis?
I think he did have no, not with arthritis, I think, but he did for a long time because one of his legs was longer than the other. I think because of the break.
Oh, is it?
Right, yeah.
But now he has one of those wedges in one of his shoes.
In his shoes?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, because it put his back out because one.
Well, it would do, yes.
Yeah. But it took them ages to realise what was wrong, I think.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I suppose they pulled the leg out too much because he was on the Benson. No, it's Benson burner, isn't it? It was a wooden frame with weights, and he had a pin here, and then the weights over the end of the end of the bed, and that is all to pull the bone out. And then they let the weights decrease, and then the bone will come together again.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. They don't do it like that anymore, do they?
I don't know. Why? What do they do?
Well, you don't get a pin in it. I mean, I don't.
Steiner's pin, that's it. A Steiner's pin.
Is there pictures of Dad with a broken leg?
No.
It's not really something you know you do.
Did you have a camera?
No. Oh, I did, I suppose.
There's a bit of footage of Jen and Dad running around a field and jumping into some hay. Have you seen that?
Really?
It's very funny.
Where's that from?
Do you remember seeing that?
It's on VHS.
Someone sent it to Mum to Dad probably about 15, 20 years ago for Christmas. And it's,
really?
And it's these two, Dad's got very sticky outy ears.
Oh yes, he did. He used to wear a cap. A net cap when he was a baby. He had to keep his ears in. Mm.
Really?
Mm.
Did it work?
I don't know. You say he's got sticking out ears now?
Well, not now, but in the video, he's got really sticky outy ears.
Well, he did a bit. Yes. Yes, that's why he wore this lace cap.
Was he a naughty boy?
Oh no, not really. No. No, the normal chap.
And I always remember lots of dogs at your house.
Yes, always had two.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Really lovely dogs, I seem to remember.
Emma.
She
was a good one.
Sue was the English setter.
Susie.
Emma was a spaniel. Jacko and Sniper were the first two.
Jacko and Sniper?
Yes.
Wow.
Spaniels. One was a black and white and one was blue roan. Then Jacko went and we got Rack. No, we had a Dapper. Dapper was a black and white one. He came next, I think. And I think we went onto an English setter. And then the other one went and we got Dewey. who was a funny little cairn thing, but his ears didn't stick up. His ears were full. He was a funny little ossity. Susie went and we got Dinah. And then Dewey went and I don't think we replaced her. And then I was without a dog for a long time at Orchard Place. Dinah. So there must have been another one.
Emma.
Emma was the last one, I think.
And then you had little Charlie.
And then I had quite a few years without a dog because I had the cat. And then Jane said I ought to get another dog. Well, I couldn't be bothered, so she found Charlie for me. And I had Charlie for about 18 months.
Mm.
And he was a funny little ossity too.
I remember he used to, if you went out of sight, Charlie used to just scream like a child. Didn't he? I remember being in the car once, we were driving up to the coast, and Charlie was on the parcel shelf.
At the back,
and you went into the garage and he just absolutely screamed and screamed and screamed in the back of the car when you went outside.
Well, I was told he was about his fourth home.
Oh.
And he didn't like other people. He used to nip the gardener's ankles. And he nipped Desmond's ankles at one point. He was terribly jealous. But then when we bought, I married Desmond and we bought the bungalow, it had underfloor heating and he just couldn't stand up because there were no carpets or tiles. So he went to a home where the husband and wife were both vets. But it was terrible when I left him.
Was it?
Mm.
Poor little Charlie.
He was, poor Charlie.
In Sidmouth or in?
Oh, no, Dorset. Opposite Lavinia. They lived there. And they had a Labrador, black Labrador, and they wanted a little dog. So Charlie was ideal.
Oh.
What about travelling that you've done in the world? Places you visited, holidays you've been on? Where's particularly stressful?
Canada, several times, because Hedley had a cousin there. He had a cousin North Canada, and then he had the sister was in the States. And when we stayed with the sister, Hedley and Carol and Elma were down the garden, and I was in the house, and I said, "Now that door is open." And I put my knee up, and it went.
Oops.
It was not open. Put my knee right through the door.
Cut your knee on that?
No, couldn't even cut my skirt.
Really?
But you should have seen the husband's face when he saw the door. Oh! It's incredible because I did look. I looked and I looked. I think after that that was their dinner party conversation of what their English cousin did.
And did you do a lot of holidays that involved birds?
Well, if I went with Hedley, yes it did. Everything did. We stayed at Overstrand and he went off birding. We went Blakeney several times.
Mm-hmm.
Many times actually. He went off to Iceland. Yes, he went off on birding holidays on his own. Because I didn't like that sort of holiday.
What was your ideal holiday?
When I was on my own, I went to Italy, to Florence, to Rome, Moscow, and St. Petersburg, Madeira. Oh, I had a lovely time. Went with Evelyn Towns.
Girls on tour.
Yeah, we went, yes, and she had been to Rome and Florence, for instance, before, so she knew the sites to go and see. I mean, those were fantastic holidays. thoroughly enjoyed. And St. Petersburg.
When you had the how many times do you think you went abroad when Jen and Dad were little? Was that quite a regular thing?
Well, we didn't go away abroad until about they were 8 and 6, or even older than that. Then we went to Denmark, which is quite interesting.
If you could go anywhere in the world now,
Where would I go? I think I would repeat Russia, Florence.
You go back to Russia?
Sightseeing.
Yeah.
Not anything else. I mean, the Hermitage is absolutely out of this world. And all these gold domes, onions, you know. But I mean, that makes you feel that Russia is rich. But when we got off the ship somewhere, there was a little lady and I'm sure she's picked the flowers out of somebody's garden. I may be quite wrong, but she said $1. It really brought it back. But as tourists, it was very good. We were very well looked after. We had a little lady in Moscow who was dressed in apple green, and she had an apple green umbrella. And of course, it's easy to see an apple green umbrella with all the crowds in the Kremlin, the square, Red Square. So it was very well organised.
And so just going back, a little word on our granddad in terms of he was the president of the RSPB, is that right?
He was on council.
He was on council.
London Council.
And what does that involve?
The president of what, sorry?
RSPB. The birds.
But then you said something else.
He was on the council.
Oh, okay.
Main council of the RSPB. Which meant meetings in London, I suppose. Just go to London. He wrote his books, of course. You've got one, haven't you?
Where did he write his books? At home?
At home, yeah.
In his spare time?
Well, after he retired, you see.
After he retired.
But he had notes and notes and notes of books, which I think I put to the Macclesfield Library. So you see, it's quite a Cheshire celebrity, if you like.
Still?
Oh, I shouldn't think so. 20 odd years now since he died.
But I mean because of the book that he wrote.
Oh yes, yes.
And he was an accountant in Manchester?
Manchester. Senior partner for quite a long time before.
And what was his, I don't know, his daily routine, or was he a hard-working man, I presume?
Oh yes, I think he was very highly thought of in the accountant world.
So much information.
So much information. So, question. If you could go back to your 16-year-old self, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 16-year-old self?
I don't think I would do nursing again. I would do domestic science.
With an aim to do what?
Get married and have a family. That was my aim. I wasn't interested really in earning a living.
Nursing stood you in quite good stead though for having a family.
Oh yes, it did. Yes, I'm glad I've done it, but I wouldn't go back to it. But I've had it's been useful for what I've done latterly.
Anything else? Life advice?
When the children went went to boarding school, I was asked to join the Adoption Society, which I did, and I loved it. I interviewed adopters, and I interviewed natural mothers who wanted their babies adopted. I used to go to Hoylake, where there was a mother and baby home, and interviewed. At the beginning, I went with another member of the committee. We would interview about, 8 girls. 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. One would do the interviewing and the other one would write it all down, because you couldn't possibly remember it all. And when we finished, there were no more babies. Social services said they're better to stay with their mothers, their natural mothers, regardless. So then the Adoption Society started with a doctor and his wife who adopted Anna, who was the leading light in the society, and she got all her friends, and we were all friends of friends.
Oh.
In it. You see, we had nothing to do with the social services.
But did the social services deal with adoption at that time as well, you were just separate?
Yes, they did. We had to deal with them.
Yeah.
I can't think why, but we did the placing. And then I used to go in, and at one end of the corridor was the mother and baby, who was brought in by the matron of the home, mother and baby home, and the adopters were this end in another room. And we had to go and take the baby from the mother, which was very, very hard in some cases. Some of the girls just handed it over like a paper parcel, but others didn't, and it was a terrible thing to do. So you took the baby out, and I stood outside with the baby to pull myself together before you took the baby into the adopters, who were all sort of, bright, shining, and how lovely. And then after that, we did 2-3 visits to the adopters. I did one, and 2 other members of the committee would do a visit, and we would send the report in. And then somebody would go to court for the court order, which was always a joyful thing to do.
That's nuts that you just went from one to the other in the same moment.
They never met.
No.
But until the court order, we would write to the mother to tell her that the baby is fine and doing well and putting on weight and so on and so on. So we kept her in touch with her child until the court order, and then that was finished.
Wow. That's amazing.
But I enjoyed that.
And how about your work with the East Chester Hospice?
Oh yes, well, before that I was asked to go on to Lime Green, paraplegic settlement.
How old were you at this stage?
30s, I suppose, late 30s, 40s. So I went on the board for Lime Green, and that was being changed. They had the 26 bungalows, 2 avenues of bungalows, specially built at the beginning of the end of the war, I suppose. And then the main house, where the single men were, but all the married ones went into the bungalows. And we sold the house, and we had to distribute everything between the residents. And we found cigarettes from the war, and this was in 1950s, and all sorts of things that the government had given them for the war, during the war, and we had to distribute these enamel bowls and mugs and God knows what. We had to empty the house. It was great fun. 2 of us did that.
What a lot of treasures.
Pillows, blankets, you name sheets, you name it. Empty the house, and then that went into the nursing home, quite apart from Lime Green. But that was interesting. And then there was a meeting in Macclesfield as to whether they needed a hospice. So I went to that.
Wow, you were there from the beginning.
Yes. And the chairman was they were all business chaps, except the one who started this was, she was social services, I think. And she said to me, was I interested? And I said, yes, I am.
Interested
in what the hospice, having a hospice in Macclesfield. So I remained on the council or committee, and it went. The chairman. Oh, there were quite a lot of people on that. I suppose there were about 8 of us, and they all sort of disappeared over the time. They disappeared, but I stuck it. And the chairman then was a bank manager, and he wanted everybody off the committee. He wanted to do it himself. And we said, yes, I am. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm going to stay.
Good on you. So
he went, and we got somebody else on the chair. He was a social services, so quite high up, and he was good. And we got other people on the committee, which was good. But then he got a bit over himself in the end. But we got it going.
Wow.
And I stayed on the council until I married Desmond.
For what must have been 30 years? 13
years, yes. 13 years. Actually, I've been off it 15.
13 years, yeah.
Yes, it's been there for a long time now. It's completely changed.
And my residing memories of that time were newspapers and Christmas cards. That's
right. We used to pick up all the newspapers. Did you do it with us one day?
I used to do it every time. That was what we used to do, Granny.
That's right, collecting all the newspapers.
What do you mean, collecting them from?
I don't really remember. What were we collecting them for?
They were all stacked in.
They were very neat stacks, weren't they?
In somebody's, I think they were fireplace. Somebody's garage, wasn't it on?
Yeah, you used to go and pick them up, put them in your car.
And I suppose we got so much money for waste paper for the hospital. And then I used to do the Christmas cards, choose the Christmas cards. So I had several people on the committee who would come and choose. It wasn't just me, but we chose the Christmas cards.
The ones that were
priced all the Christmas cards.
The ones that were going to be sold in the hospice shop.
In the hospice shop, that's right.
And you made the marmalade?
Or in the hospice. I made marmalade because I was always at home with Headley, you see, looking after Headley. I made the marmalades.
That you sold in the shop, though?
Sold it all over the place. In the estate agents in the village, so they sold it. Mainly at the hospice.
And what's the secret to a good marmalade?
Well, I used to buy it about 1 tons or something. Something like that, a jar. But they don't do anything like that now. They don't sell anything. They do Christmas cards, but they don't. I sold bridge cards, bridge sets. That was about the most expensive thing we sold. Yes, we had sold quite a variety of things, which all sold. But they don't do it now. It's just gone beyond itself, I think.
Wow.
The atmosphere, it's a business. Whereas before it was...
charity.
Well, it is a charity, yes. But it was a very happy charity. We all got on in the office. And yes, it was all friends of friends that ran it, really. Except matron and the professionals, the nurses. I went to the interview for the matron before it opened, of course. And the last one was trained at UCH.
Oh, really?
So I had to be very careful because I thought I'm obviously going for her.
Biased.
But, she stood out. She stood out. Nothing to do with me. And I was the last one to ask any questions. And I thought, what the hell am I going to ask her? But, yes, she was an excellent matron.
Brilliant.
Mm.
So another thing I wanted to ask you about was religion, and then what part, if any, religion has played in your life, and what reflections you have on that now.
Not a lot, really. No, I used to take the children to children being family service, but it hasn't really meant very much to me.
Did it mean a lot? I mean, obviously, when growing up.
Quite low battery.
What?
Low battery.
Okay, I won't do that. Growing up, obviously, religion meant a lot more to a lot more people back then.
Yes. Oh, yes, I had to go to church every Sunday morning.
Was your father religious?
No, I don't remember that, no. But my stepmother, yes, I had to go to church every Sunday morning and to go to Crusaders in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite enjoyed Crusaders, but because it was a group thing. And I took part in that. But it hasn't meant what it should have meant.
Mm. So if not for religion, everyone has sort of difficult times in their life. What would you say was the thing that kept you most positive or kept you going through the most difficult times? Be it whatever.
I don't know, really. Yes, I suppose Yes, I had a church service for Headley. I'm glad Jane and Andrew were married in church. Yes, I suppose it did mean a certain amount to me.
Mm.
It's a base. It's a solid base.
Any more questions?
No.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I haven't done anything. When I came here, I started working in the hospice shop because I'm not involved, but I'm interested. My main charities for giving are the hospice and cancer research. But anything else in the collecting in the town that I agree with, lifeboat for instance, I would give to that, but not a specific amount. Because I think cancer is very important.
They're close to finding a cure, aren't they?
Well, some things have got very advanced. Leukemia, for instance, they've found they're doing well on. But I don't think they'll ever cure it because some of it doesn't show up until it's too late to do anything about it.